Welcome to Veteran Resource Podcast, where you will meet nonprofit organizations focused on improving the lives of veterans and their family members. Here is your host, Jeremy Paris.
Welcome to the VAP family of podcasts.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 39 of the Veteran Resource Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Paris. If this is the first episode that you are hearing, then let me break it down for you real quick. Each episode, I interview a different veteran-focused nonprofit organization to find out what programs, what benefits, or opportunities are available for veterans. And I'm assuming that many of you out there enjoy listening because we finally broke 10,000 downloads. That's right. Thank you all so much. And if I could ask for a favor, could you please share the podcast with your Facebook friends or your Twitter followers? If each of you did that, we could hit 20,000 in absolutely no time at all. Today's guest is Jim Estes from Salute Military Golf Association. Jim Estes, a former PGA Tour player, and childhood friend Jamie Winslow co-founded the Salute Military Golf Association in late 2006. They both saw firsthand the positive force the game of golf could play in the recovery process for our nation's wounded warriors. SMGA began with the purpose of creating a therapeutic outlet for post-9/11 veterans undergoing prolonged medical treatment at Walter Reed Army Medical Center and Bethesda Naval Hospital in Maryland. Jim and SMGA's efforts have been recognized by the numerous media outlets. Jim was awarded the prestigious 2010 PGA Patriot Award for his contributions to the recovery of wounded warriors. Articles on ESPN.com tell how several trips from Walter Reed Army Medical Center to Olney Golf Park, where Jim Estes is the PGA Teaching Professional, eventually evolved into a 501c3 nonprofit corporation aimed at supporting post-9/11 wounded warriors. All right, let's jump right into the interview. Jim, welcome to the Veteran Resource Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, very, very happy to have you on. Let's get started here by kind of getting a little elevator pitch for your organization.
Sure. Well, Salute Military Golf Association is a 501c3 nonprofit. We really want to meld the love of country and the love of golf in an effort to support our military, both mentally and physically, through programming that's family inclusive. Now, we pretty much cater to post 9/11 injured warriors, and you know it's a full holistic sort of approach in that we give them lunch, we do a 2-hour golf clinic, we provide instruction on an individual and a group basis, and we have something what's called the American Golfer Program, which gives those that are not in a clinic location the opportunity to take private golf lessons and get custom fitted equipment. So it's really it's an organization that's been around 8 years. We're going on our 9th year. We became a 501c3 nonprofit in 2007, and we've given over 2,000 lessons, private lessons to post 9/11 wounded and injured veterans. And
wow.
Yeah, we've provided more than 800 sets of clubs, and we've hosted over 80 golf clinics each year in different locations throughout the country. And it's really it's a great opportunity for young golf professionals to learn about how to teach people with disabilities, because really there's 300 million people, or 360 million people in the U.S., and there's about 10% of that population that has some form of disability. So we're not just talking about injured veterans. We're talking about people with knee injuries, hip injuries, back injuries, wrist injuries, old age injuries, you know?
Right.
And, so, yeah, I mean, the American Golfer Program is really a cool program because although we're small and we don't reach out to everyone, this program gives anyone that's served the opportunity to learn golf and use golf in their rehabilitative process. So
very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
And Jim, I'm going to get into a deep dive into a lot more of that. But before we do, I kind of wanted to find out a little bit more about you. Can you kind of tell me a little bit about yourself, maybe leading up to the organization?
Well, as a former PGA Tour player, I played on the PGA Tour, and I was a childhood friend of Jamie Winslow, who Jamie and I started SMGA. And so I came from a playing background. I had 1 year on the tour, PGA Tour, and I won in 1996 on the web.com tour. And I actually was teaching golf and trying to play at the same time. I actually got better as I started working at a club. I actually, which is probably not the route I would tell people to go, but I wouldn't have a family first and get a job in the golf business if I was trying to play the tour. But anyway, that's what I did because I really didn't have a pedigree. I wasn't a good college player. In fact, I never won a college tournament, and I had a lot of problems in college. Just actually, I had a nervous breakdown in college just from being a highly recruited athlete, and maybe that's the reason I got involved with folks with PTSD and TBI, because I was hospitalized and I had to, get out of golf altogether for a good 3 months. And my dad was a physician, but I had anxiety and panic attacks, and I got things out of perspective. So that was really a great learning experience for me, because I learned, you've got to put things in perspective and understand what's important in life and have balance. So that experience, I went on to obviously grow from that experience. And I think it was a huge stepping stone and probably led me to SMGA. I think it was probably a blessing that happened.
How old were you when you started golfing?
I was 8. My dad got me into it. He was a pretty good golfer. He was a great athlete. He played basketball for the Navy Olympic team, and he took up golf in 2 years. And he was after he got out of his internship and began a private practice in vascular surgery, he got introduced to golf, and within 2 years he was in the finals of the club championship. And when I was, a young guy, he got me set of little clubs and started me off.
That's great.
Yeah. So, I got recognized in 2010 by the PGA for contributions, as it relates to helping the military recover, and the PGA Patriot Award sort of springboarded us as an organization, sort of got us on the map a little bit, I think. I got some good media exposure, and I qualified for the 2008 PGA Championship, and I've played in 7 major championships. And this year was the first year I actually qualified for the Senior PGA Championship and made the cut, which was...
nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Well, it was a long time coming. I never made a cut in a major, but golf as it relates to my passion now is really helping other people learn the game and grow the game of golf, and trying to show them the virtues of playing, and how it can positively impact the recovery is pretty well documented with SMGA. We've had Tim Lang, and Tim is a scratch golfer, and TJ Brooks and DeWitt Osborne, and so many guys have gone on to represent SMGA not only at the board level, but they've been ambassadors for our program, and we don't have any paid, but we don't pay the troops to do that. I mean, they come and do it out of the goodness of their heart, and because they truly believe in what we do. So
that's great. And
yeah.
Jim, up until a few months ago, I didn't even know that there were any veteran-focused nonprofits that dealt with golf. And then I met and interviewed Aaron Ojard from the Veteran Golfers Association, and that was episode 28, I believe. And he was telling me about SMGA, and
Nice.
I was just, I don't know, going from not knowing that there's any at all, and then he starts naming off like a handful of organizations, and I was like, really? I had no idea that these organizations were out there. But now your organization has been around longer than the Veteran Golfers Association, correct?
Right. And actually, Josh Payton, who started the Veterans Golf Association, pretty much got the idea from what we were doing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And Josh, to his credit, being an 82nd Airborne guy and an officer, he went and got his master's at George Washington University. And to his credit, that organization is doing very well. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, I really love what they're doing, and I like the story. I like the story.
Yep.
And so, speaking of stories, what's the story of how SMGA got started?
Well, it's interesting. This guy who's no longer with us was a Vietnam veteran. Hal Koster, Billy Bartlett and Hal Koster went to Vietnam together, and Hal was a helicopter gunner pilot, and Billy was a communications guy. And Billy was a client of mine, and he was volunteering on Friday nights to take guys out to dinner. And Hal Koster, the Alethea Foundation, was born, and Hal has been given free meals to vets and their families for the last 10 years. And so one night I went down, and Billy said, "Look, why don't you be a little golf pitch to these guys? Maybe that would get them out of the hospital, and maybe they'd like to see some green grass and learn golf. You never know." And I said, well, I was very skeptical at the time. I didn't have much training in public speaking, or for that matter, any training in how to teach people with disabilities. So much to my surprise, I had about a handful of guys that said they'd like to come out to the Olney Golf Park and learn golf. And our owner at the time was very much interested. Obviously, at that time, 2005, 6, helping the troops was a big deal. And so he opened up the facility and gave those guys free access for life. And
oh, wow.
It's still that way to this day. And so I had a Salute to Servicemen Day with the help of the staff there at Olney, and we raised about $30,000, and that was in 2006. And we went through all of that money. Disabled American Veterans, another fine organization, underwrote the whole thing in the sense that they just opened the bank account and deposited the money, and one of their volunteer treasurers kept the books, and we used that money for lessons and golf experiences and golf clubs. So once we went through all that money, this guy, I'll never forget, he said, "Look, I'm unemployed. Why don't you start your own nonprofit and hire me?" And I was like, wow, I don't know about that. I'm just a golf pro. And so then I called a friend of mine, and Jamie Winslow, he was happy to help out. And through the contacts of two people, we've built this to where we've raised almost $600,000 a year. And
wow,
we've got chapters locations in Olney, Maryland, and Fort Drum, and Fort Eustis, Fort Belvoir, North Texas, Dallas area, Boston, Fort Bragg, and Camp Lejeune. And we're going to have another chapter in Ohio. We have a chapter in Hawaii. Oh,
nice.
Yeah, so it's growing, and we have an adaptive golf manual, and we've got Boozal in Hamilton, who's offered to, as a team building exercise for their employees. They have a golf tournament in 16 different cities, and they've helped us raise over $100,000 the past 2 years. And we just got a nice contribution from Royal Bank of Canada, or RBC, and they're going to take some of their contacts within the wealth management industry, and excuse me, hopefully that will springboard us to a new level in terms of being able to expand.
Very nice. Very nice. And speaking of expanding, I'm curious, I wanted to hear about some of the programs that you currently have.
Yeah, so our clinic locations, that's really the foundation of our program. We have at Olney about 80 to 100 folks that show up, and we have an adaptive golf program, and it brings the game of golf to the most severely injured people with multiple amputations, bilateral, both sides. We have special equipment. We have what's called a paragolfer, which is it's a 3-wheeled vehicle with a hydraulic chair, and we can work with quadriplegics, paraplegics, tetraplegics, people that, some people can't even talk. I mean, we have a guy, this guy, Luis, he was an officer, and he can't speak, but he can hit a golf ball. And, so the unique thing about this game of golf is, we're just trying to get people to understand that, hey, this isn't about competition. It's not about anything other than just doing a recreational activity with your family and spending some time outdoors. And that fraternal environment, I think, is what separates us as an organization. I believe that having an individual relationship with most of the people that have come through, where I get to sit down and have lunch and talk to them, makes our organization, it gives it the extra touch. Instead of just handing guys gifts and stuff, they know all of our volunteer community is mostly veterans, people that have worked within the government, that are retired military. In this area, DC's got a vast amount of people in all walks of life that have served in some capacity in the military. So,
oh yeah.
And you know that. So the family, the camaraderie. I mean, the clinics promote camaraderie among the warriors, and we encourage the family-centered activities. I mean, that's really what we're trying to do. Is even the little ones, we have babysitting for the real small kids, the toddlers, and that's really helpful. The local high schools, I coach at a private high school, and we get a lot of community service points for the kids. And so it really it goes beyond the mechanics of the golf swing, and it's more just about, I mean, we even talk about golf-specific exercises and nutrition and alternative sources of pain management. And so, it's really, I think it's if you from our surveys, most people really enjoy it. Now, there are people that can't come to clinics because of, either PTSD or things, PTS or the things associated with the scars of war might be such that they don't like loud noises, crowds. So then in that situation, if that's, something that really it's just a no-go for them, then we'll have private coaching available for them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so we've got all kinds of golf tournaments. We take them to the Masters. We have them Pro-Ams of the PGA Tour on Wednesdays, the week of a PGA Tour event. Oftentimes we get spots for those guys to play, and those are like $10,000 to play with, Tiger Woods or Jordan Spieth, and a lot of times we get those donated. So we just we only have 3 employees now. We just hired another employee, and we're revamping our website, and we're really starting to ramp up the marketing side. We really need to do that because, it's difficult in any business if you don't stay in touch with your prospects and your donors and your members. To keep them engaged is so important. And so that's really what we're trying to do, is keep everyone that's given us any sort of funding. We want to keep them involved. And so we often invite our donors to play golf with the Wounded Warriors, and we have an annual golf tournament. Yeah, we have an annual golf tournament every year. And so, I mean, the guys that come through our program use golf as a recreational source for their entire life. And what's really cool about our organization is a lot of guys that couldn't speak about anything, or even get in front of people are now doing speaking tours. So, I mean,
Oh, wow.
Tim Lang, he was a Marine that, he was patrolling in Fallujah in 2006, and his vehicle was hit by a roadside bomb. And this guy was an unbelievable athlete in Michigan growing up. And he told me golf was for sissies. And now he would come out to the golf park. It would be 30 degrees, and he'd hit 500 balls. And it just got him something to focus on. So he's highly competitive, and sports was always a big part of his life, and this gave him something to focus his attention on.
That's interesting. The golf is for sissies. That's I admit that I felt the same way until I was in the Army and I played for the first time, and a bunch of my friends were going to play, and they said, come on, we're going to play golf. And I'm like, golf? Really? You're not going to play like football or something like that? And they're like, have you ever played? I'm like, no. They're like, all right, you're coming with us. And I didn't want to go at all. And they convinced me by saying, well, don't worry, we could drink the whole time we're golfing. So I'm like, yep, all right, I'm there. And went out and had such an incredible time. I was hooked on golf. Like from that day forward, I just, I couldn't believe that I was so close-minded the whole beginning of my life that I wouldn't even consider it.
Yeah. I mean, Tim said the same thing, but it gave him so much self-confidence, and I tried to explain to him, golf training isn't like football. It takes a while to ingrain new motor patterns, and it's a complex motor skill, and so it takes time to learn, and it's not a game you can master in 1 week or 1 year even. It takes years to learn. But, Ramon Padilla is another one. He grew up in Los Angeles. He was born in Mexico, and he got hit by an RPG and blew his right arm off and at the elbow. And this shrapnel, it really severed his lower left arm. And so he uses a prosthetic to play, and he would come out and practice, and he got involved in the Golf Channel Am Tour. He's a highly competitive guy too, and but he credits the game of golf with really saving his life. I mean, he was so depressed, and he was on painkillers, and he was sitting around and feeling sorry for himself, and now is through the help of his family and his faith and his wife, they were supporting him. He's got 5 kids, and they're all learning golf. And
oh, that's great.
Yeah. He says, once you achieve something like hitting a golf ball into the air, you feel like you can do anything. That's the way he describes golf. So.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
And is the SMGA, is that strictly for veterans who they're already experienced golfers, or can someone who's never swung a club benefit as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, it's funny, almost everybody that comes to our program, I should say probably only 10% have played before. 90%
oh, wow.
New. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, I think, DeWitt Osborne's another one. He was in Golf Digest. His article, he was 275 pounds and couldn't move around. He was in a lot of pain. His health was bad. And he had screws and plates in his ankle and his shoulder and a rod in his back for multiple. He had effusions of in his spine. And so DeWitt, I said, look, we're going to start from the very beginning. I just want you to chip the ball, little shots around the greens, and learn the basic grip and the stance, the posture. And I want you to walk every day. And he lost about 40, 50 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And in 2 years, he went from shooting like over 120 to a 7 handicap.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
He stayed at Walter Reed for 4 years too. I mean, he was really messed up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He had multiple surgeries. I mean, I'm talking, I don't know how many surgeries, but it was a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine how, getting out there and just being around other people and being able to shoot some rounds of golf. I could really see how that would help mentally as well as physically.
Well, yeah, I mean, being around your friends and being able to talk to your friends about your problems. I mean, those guys that have served together, it's an opportunity for them to reconnect. And there's just certain things you can't tell your wife because they just they can't begin to understand it. And you wouldn't want to tell them, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
It would traumatize them just to hear about what goes on over there.
Yeah.
But overall, I think our organization's headed in the right direction. I think we've got Dan Flieger, who's our executive director, and Gina Myers, who's our director of communications, and she's doing a great job with things like you, reaching out to you and getting us, every little thing helps. And, being able to provide rehabilitative golf experiences and family-conclusive golf opportunities to post-9/11 veterans to improve the quality of their life is the least we could do. As and these guys have put their life on the line and give us the opportunity to do what we want to do every day. And it's the least we could do is to at least show them that we care about them, and in whatever way possible, we can try to enhance the quality of their recovery. And I think, unless you've seen what PTS does to people and what TBI, traumatic brain injury, does, you can't really scope the scale. It's hard to scale it out in terms of just how debilitating it can really be. For so many guys, just getting up in the morning and trying to find their way, from one place to another in a car more than 2 or 3 miles, sometimes can be difficult. And so it takes a lot of patience when you've been a highly effective at your job to go from there to, having a severe injury. And that whole learning curve is very difficult for young families, especially young ladies. Oftentimes the caregiver is the one that actually suffers more. And so you're just not prepared for what really, having a family and marriage is hard enough. That's a struggle in and of itself. But when you add severe injuries and the mental anguish that goes along with all of these re-experiencing things that happen, it becomes very problematic for families. So the military and all of the military service organizations are trying to enhance the quality of the programs that nonprofits provide. We've gotten money from the VA, and we're just like I said, we're pretty small, but we've got, I would say, within the next 3 to 5 years, my vision for us is to double in size, double the size of our programs. Like,
nice.
And I think we're poised to do that. So
do you see that happening within the chapters that you currently have, or are you thinking branching out to more chapters as well?
Yeah, that's really what I'm saying. Right now we're doing a demographic study with the Pentagon.
Okay.
To locate the highest concentration of wounded veterans. One of our board members works at the Pentagon, and so we're trying to do that study so that we can put all our resources into the right places.
Great idea.
It takes 5 ingredients really to have a chapter. You have to have a volunteer core of people. When I say a volunteer core, you need 2 or 3 people, but you really need a point person who is a volunteer who can help with the administration of food and beverage and all of the communications. And you need a golf pro and a facility that's willing and able to take on a group of folks. You need a golf pro that's poised enough to work with people with disability and welcomes it. And you really need a fundraising, a revenue stream, and that's where you have to provide, some sort of plan. When we give guys the reins to just take over a chapter, we really want to have all of those pieces in place and give them the proper training so they don't feel like they're out on an island by themselves and have no help. So we have a manual, and we have training, and that's the other thing. We want to really enhance our training for like SMGA Boston. We've got a guy that's in wealth management, Jerry Shanahan. He's doing a fantastic job up in Boston. Their programming's in Rhode Island. It's in Connecticut, New Hampshire. It's in Massachusetts, and there's a huge concentration of military guys up there that are that help Jerry out, that are retired military, and the golf pros up there, because it's a short season, those guys are super amped up, and they have a wintertime program where they get the guys on simulators. And Bob Beach, who is a Patriot Award winner like myself, has a huge amount of experience teaching people Special Olympics and people with disabilities for a number of years, and he's a point person up there in Boston.
Oh, great.
And down at Fort Eustis, Andy Weisinger is on the board of directors for the Middle Atlantic PGA. And so we have really qualified golf professionals that are highly motivated and passionate about growing the game.
For any of these chapters, you did mention volunteer. You were very volunteer based, and so you also mentioned that most of those volunteers are former veterans. But if somebody just kind of wants to give back, is it open to just anybody to volunteer?
Yeah, I mean, we try to vet the volunteers a little bit so we can sort of give them. We want them to spend the most time, their amount of time in the area where they're exceptional.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And we're really where they're gifted and where they're passionate about helping. So we spend a fair amount of time, going over that with them and say, so, for example, we have guys that are volunteer. Their photography is one of their passions as a hobby, and we have guys that do that for us. Videography. We've got we have guys that love the game of golf and just want to play with vets. So we have country clubs locally that allow us. We have an office at Argyle Country Club, and they let any number of veterans play their golf course at no charge. And so participation in Montgomery County is pretty high among the Montgomery County Revenue Authority golf courses. There's 9 of those. And Laytonsville and Falls Road and all these different courses in Montgomery County give those guys access at no charge as well. They have to pay for our card, but so we just want to bring that model. And with the American Golfer Program, I mean, that program is just amazing. I mean, we've got 100 guys signed up, and we could take on, and don't forget, it costs about $1,000 to do one person. So, because a custom set of clubs costs about $700, and the instruction costs around $300. So, it's about $1,200 a person to put one person through the American Golfer Program. So, the application process is pretty competitive, but we find a golf professional in their area that wants to teach, and then we get them custom fitted with clubs, and then we get them out playing in tournaments, and they get a kick out of that. I mean, to play in a golf tournament with a company like Booz Allen or RBC, or playing a tour event, I mean, that's pretty special.
Yeah, that is pretty big.
And if guys that want to do that, that's great. If they don't want to do that, then we put them with local people. and maybe they just want to go out on Sunday afternoon with their mom or their wife or their little kid, and they don't want to see anyone. That's fine too. So
Right.
so the clinic program, we give etiquette, and we get the kids to understand the rules, and we really want to develop the programming to the point where people are enjoying it and they're getting better. And so we're constantly doing surveys to find out, what do we need to do to make this better?
Well, I do love the idea of including family in there, and I have seen a lot of the nonprofits that I'm talking to are starting more and more to include family members, and I really think it helps because you could do so many things for the veteran, but when you do when you're helping the veteran and the family together as one, it helps that bond, and I think that goes a long way to helping mentally as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you've served with your brothers in arms in a battle zone, there's no bond quite like that. And if you can reignite that bond through the game of golf and help facilitate that healing process, that's huge.
Well, Jim, I'm loving everything that we got into here. Is there anything that I missed before we get into the final three?
Well, I'll tell you one guy, Nicholas Tom. He's a triple amputee. This kid, he's a young guy. He's an unbelievable story. He comes from a family of Marines, and he lost 4 fingers, both legs and an arm, and he's playing golf.
Oh, wow.
And it's a pretty amazing story. And he's an incredible player. I mean, he can actually play the game, shoot in the 80s. So he's a young guy. He was deployed in 2010 in Afghanistan, and he was checking out a suspicious object on the side of a hill when the Taliban insurgents detonated an IED, and he was medevaced out, and he was unconscious for a long time, and he was flatlined. It was a firefight, 30-minute firefight, and he had bilateral above the knee amputations, and he had 3 fingers amputated anyway, and severe damage to his hands. But I'm telling you, this kid he's resilient, and to watch him play golf's amazing. It really is. And there's so many of those stories. But I've learned more from these guys about their faith and their attitude. It's infectious. It really is.
Yeah.
So
I love hearing the success stories. That's one of my favorite things, talking to veteran-focused nonprofits, is hearing the success stories and, hearing about what veterans have overcome and where they are now. It's awesome.
Yeah, we've got some really powerful videos on our website, and like I said, the new website is it's not gone live yet, but we've got some pretty powerful videos on our website about some of these guys. If people want to go there and check them out, I encourage that. But
excellent, and I will make sure that I put the link to the website in the show notes so that everybody can find it nice and easily and get over there. And maybe by the time this comes out, the new site will already be up and they'll be able to check it out.
Yeah, it's supposed to be live this week, sometime at the end of this week. So hopefully.
Oh, great.
So yeah, shoot me those 3 questions, whatever order.
All right, let's get this started. Question number 1, who would you like to hear on a future episode of the Veteran Resource Podcast?
Well, that's a good question. There's so many organizations I've been had the good fortune of working with. The name of this organization is going to elude me. I'm going to look it up real quick. I think it's Fairways for Warriors, but I'm not sure. But my friend Roger Schiffman, who was the editor of Golf Digest, helped organize a trip to Ireland in 2012 and 13. And I got the opportunity to go.
Oh, wow.
And Roger has been doing these trips, and I'm trying to look up the name of their organization. But at any rate, the other organization that I think people should take a look at is, I don't know if you've ever heard of this group, but Operation Second Chance.
Operation Second Chance. Yes. Yep. I have heard of them.
They're really a good organization. They do a lot of good stuff. And I just can't say enough about what they've done for the recovery of vets. I mean, they provide, they go out and get groceries for, all of these service members' families are just trying to figure out a way to just see them. And so they help that process. Any sort of details relating to travel or, they even help with housing, special needs in the houses like elevators or any sort of door handles. They do all kinds of things. So that's one organization. Cindy McGrew. They've got actually, I think their organization employs veterans too.
Very cool. Very cool.
They build relationships here. It says, supporting immediate needs and interests. We're dedicated to the promotion of public awareness of the many sacrifices made by armed forces people. But anyway, there's the Yellow Ribbon Fund is another organization I really like too.
Cool.
We worked with them for years. They're really do mentoring and just a ton of stuff.
Well, I'll definitely reach out and try to get them on the show, and we can get the word out to veterans of exactly what they have going on.
Yeah. And so, that's probably two that I've worked closely with, and I know they do great stuff. And Jim Bugg started. He passed away this past year, but he started the Yellow Ribbon Fund, and I learned a lot from just watching those guys. How their organization took off and how they ran it, and they run it with such integrity, and so yeah.
Collaborating with other organizations is really, really good. And I've been talking with a lot of different organizations, and that's one of the things that I'm seeing more and more of now. Back, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, it didn't seem like that was happening as much. It seemed like everybody was their own stovepipe. And now more and more, I see the collaborations happening, and I really like that.
Yeah. Yep. And over the years, Cindy, I think, started her programming in 2005, and we've always had a pretty good relationship. I've learned a lot from them.
Very cool. All right, Jim, you ready for question number 2?
Yeah.
All right. What project has you fired up right now?
Well, the operation that we're taking on right now is this American Golfer program, and we just hired a new director of programming, and the programming director is going to be responsible for ordering over 350 sets of clubs and getting out to the chapter locations and making sure the quality of the programming is up to snuff. And but this American Golfer program and our new relationship with RBC, we're excited to get them on board. They're really a first-class organization. They're going to help invest some money for us, I just can't wait to get involved. We got a donation from them in the fall, and we're going to do some collaborative programs. We're going to do a tournament with their employees, and we're going to try to they do quite a bit in the golf arena. They have 6 PGA Tour players that are sponsored by RBC. So we're going to try to get some sort of corporate relationship. We're going to try to get our logo on their website, and they're going to help us with fundraising. So that's exciting.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, the final question. This is the brain stretcher. If you woke up tomorrow and you found out that somebody made an anonymous donation of $10 million to your organization, what would you do with it?
Well, first of all, I probably quit my job and just work full time for SMGA. And I think what we would do with $10 million is pretty simple. We would take all of that money and we would invest it in, if you're doing it right, you should invest about 90% of what you get into your programs. And so providing rehabilitative golf experiences in 3 different ways. I would take some of that money and I would invest it in equipment. Some of it I would invest in programming, like increasing chapter locations. With that, we'd obviously have to have more bandwidth with our marketing program. I would set up a server with just videos and guys could go online and get live streaming video. I'd have $100,000 website. I know they exist. And I'd have guys could just log on and get free video lessons in their house.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. I mean, live streaming video. And we would, I would say within 6 months, we could grow our chapters from, we have a budget of around 600,000. If we took that money and invested it, that's the other option. We could live off the interest.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? If we had 10 million at 10% interest, that's $1 million, and we wouldn't have to fundraise anymore. So
nice.
That would be another. So putting a lot away to earn some interest would be a good way to use that money as well.
Well, it's it might be likely. We've got the lottery, which is pretty high right now. So for that lottery winner, who is going to pull that, what is it, $1 billion or something crazy? Yeah, for that winner, he just heard what you can do with the money to help SMGA and to help all of these wounded warriors with golf and their families as well. So for that person or for anybody else who's listening, what is the best way to get in contact with you?
Well, we've got a home office, and the best way to contact us is if you're a wounded veteran, go on our website and fill out an application so that we can get you on a program, either American Golfer program or one of our clinic series. If you want to reach out to us and contact us, the best way is our address is 14600 Argyle Club Road, Silver Spring, Maryland, 20906, and our phone number. Gina Myers is our manager, events manager, and communications director. Her phone number is 301 and 500-7449. And Dan Flieger's our executive director. His phone number is 301-525-1639.
Excellent. And I will make sure that I get those out in the show notes as well.
Great.
Make it nice and easy for people.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Jeremy, I really appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about SMGA. I appreciate you giving us that opportunity, and I got to get your golf game in shape now. I'm called to do that.
Outstanding. I might have to take you up on that for sure.
Yeah, you're not that far away.
Yeah, I'm pretty local. I'm right here in Annapolis.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jim, and hopefully see you out there on the green.
All right, buddy. You take care.
As always, make sure you check out the show notes at veteranpodcast.com/039. You will find the links to get to Jim and SMGA and get plugged into the organization. Thank you again for listening to this episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you in episode 40.